Okay, welcome to our presentation. So before we are going to start, we want to say something about the questions. After our presentation, you can ask your questions in Dutch or in English, what you want. So
let's begin. Let's start. So we got the first video of our introduction, and we wanted to make a parody of the program Brainiac, which is a science program. And this is the introduction of it. No. It was light.
Let's start it again and then with
sound.
Here.
Deze is daar, dus dat is daar.
We zijn 10 euro voor mij aangesloten staan.
Ja, ja, de rest wat je doet moet.
Short break, I'm sorry.
You just had sound, right?
No, we didn't, because the laptop had sound, but not on the speakers.
Oh, right.
Over here.
Okay. Ja, ik ben wij zijn zo technisch.
Ja, als je dat al hetzelfde hebt.
Dat is niet voor je tijd, dus dat ik had het weer in de bootjes.
Yes.
Nee? Ja, weet ik.
Even terugspoelen.
Ja, nu hoor ik wat. Ja. Dat ik me heel hoort.
Ja, dat denk ik wel, ja.
This is Brainiac, the show that takes science, strips it down, and makes it oily.
In this episode, we go over a phenomenon called research. In order to research, we need some pretty important things, such as some super handsome and motivated researchers, of course. Here's one. Maybe another one will do as well. The next thing we need is an idea. Knowing that these two highly educated men love a challenge, we'll need a difficult question to give to them. Because the subject of drones is highly trending in recent news, I decided to give them the task of designing and building one. This task also includes doing research about physics and history. With this task, the ultimate goal is to see whether drones can be a part of society, and whether or not it's possible for two crazy scientists to build one, like these guys.
So that's the introduction. Before we can do any research about drones, we need to know what a drone is exactly. And Bob's going to tell you something about what a drone is.
Yes, what is a drone? A drone is also called an unmanned aerial vehicle, or in short, a UAV. And that means that the aerial vehicle is moving through the air autonomously. So without a pilot inside it, or a pilot on the ground that is operating the drone. And that means that the drone contains an autopilot. And in fact, the autopilot is the brain of the drone, and it gives the commands to the drone, and so it can fly. In most cases, a drone also contains a camera, because in most cases a drone is used for surveillance from above. And we will tell you something more about the different applications of drones later in this presentation.
Okay, so before I start with the presentation, I would like to start with a question. Because drones can be a lot of different kind of vehicles, I've taken two. I got a plane and a multicopter, and I'd like to ask you the question, which of these two could function best as a drone? If you think the plane could function best, please put your hand up. Okay, reasonably a few. Okay, please put your hand up if you think a multicopter can function as a drone. Okay, that's the majority. We asked this question ourselves as well before starting this research, and we will answer this question later on in this presentation. Well, because we wanted to make one ourselves, we needed to set up a plan. And this plan included some requirements we set ourselves, which are technical and physical, but we also had to apply to laws. And because we made just a standard model aircraft flying plane, the normal aircraft flying plane laws in the Netherlands were inflicted. So, which means that you can only fly beneath 300 meters above an area where you have permission from the landowner. This, however, does not apply when you are located in a CTR. And the so-called CTR is an area which is assigned by an air traffic tower around an airport. And if you want to fly above it, you need permission. Well, we had some connections in Vlaardingen with the Model Aircraft Club, so it was pretty easy to get permission from the CTR and actually fly the thing. Instead of just calling someone, hey, I want to throw my drone out of the backyard and see what happens. So we did it legally and not illegally, and we're glad we can do this. Besides the laws and restrictions, we also set some requirements physically and also technically in the drone itself. And Bob is going to tell you something more.
Yes, before we could design a drone, we must set some requirements which our design must meet. And these are the most important requirements. The first is the sustainability of our drone. That's not a bomb, it's only because we want to fly as long as possible on one battery load with the drone, so that we have a various range of applications. The second one is the durability. We are not professional pilots, so when we make a rough landing, the drone must withstand that, and we don't want expensive reparations. The third is the maneuverability. As said, in most cases a drone is used to make a surveillance from above, and so we want a clear view of an object on the ground, and so it must still stand above that object, we call it hovering, or it must make sharp circles around that object. And the last one is that the drone must be light-weighted. The drone has many different parts on it, like an autopilot and a camera, so the drone itself must be as light as possible, because when you make it too heavy, it couldn't take off. Okay, now we know what our plan is, we can go to the next exercise, and that is designing the drone. And we have a little video.
Next step, design. For these two guys, this was the most difficult part. They spent months undercover in the Bird Society to discover and design the perfect wing shape. Maybe it was better just to Google it, but this was way more intense and much more hardcore. When they arrived home, they spent another month doing heavy research on what parts they needed. At last, the final design was created, and they could finally order the Chinese stuff.
Hey, it's done!
And because the Chinese stuff was, well, Chinese, the two still needed some help with translating and assembling everything. But after many tries, it worked. And there it was, the big reveal. Wait, this isn't a helicopter, it's a plane. Boys, explain.
Okay, We should explain that. As we saw in the little survey we did, all of us and most people in society link drones autonomously to the multicopter. But that's a plane. So, why we chose a plane? At first, a plane is more sustainable than a drone, than a multicopter. As we can see, a plane has a larger wing surface, and so it means that you need less velocity to take off, and less velocity means that you need less power to take off, and so you can fly longer on one battery load. The second, a plane is more durable than a multicopter because the most model planes are made of epoxy foam, and epoxy foam is a very tough material, so that means that you can withstand a rough landing, and when you make a heavy crash, and you should see that we did it too, you can also repair that with some 1-second glue, or you can make it temporarily repair with some duct tape. And the last one is that the epoxy foam is also lighter, and so you can take more parts into the drone, and also you can take off with less power, and so I come back to the sustainability. Martijn is going to tell you something about the different components.
Well, we decided to separate our drone into different components, which means we got the video part and the autopilot part. This is really, the main reason for this is to lower the crashing risk. So imagine you're flying kilometers out and your video stops working. Then you only got your autopilot left, and you have to rely on your autopilot and come back to the home base. So your plane is still intact. Imagine if it's the other way around, your autopilot stops working, you can still fly manually with the transmitter back to your home place. Okay, so we got a few elements, the 4 elements. Bob is going to show the parts on the plane. So the first element is the standard model aircraft element, and it consists of a plane itself, which is the Bixler. And the Bixler has an ESC in it, and that's a receiver of the signals that the transmitter, which is this thing, to transmit signals to fly a plane manually. And the Bixler ESC is connected to a LiPo battery, which is just a standard battery. The next part is the autopilot part, and this part mainly focuses on the power module and the GPS, because between the LiPo battery, which is in the which is this thing, which is here between the Bixler and the battery itself, there's a power module. You really need the power module because you want to know how full your battery is. You don't want to be kilometers out and suddenly it says my battery is empty, I'm just going to crash. You don't want that. So you want to know how much life you got left in a battery. Then the power module is connected to the autopilot itself, which collects all the data like altitude, ground speed, vertical speed, and sends it together with the GPS data, which gives the location, to the telemetry kit, and that's the antenna on the back. And that antenna sends it back to the ground station. Well, we got the last part, which is the camera part, and it's just a simple standard layout with a camera, a transmitter that transmits the video signal back to the ground station, and a battery for it. And the ground station consists of a laptop, a video receiver. Then the video signal is converted into a compatible signal which the laptop can live stream, and we got the telemetry kit which receives all the autopilot data. Well, we're going to do it live. The video part wasn't working because we didn't have any signal inside, but we can show you a few things with the mission planner we use. We can set, in the flight plan, we can set waypoints. So let's take another one. Okay. Let's say I'm in Africa and I want to I want to set some waypoints in Africa. This is how a waypoint is looking like, and you just double click and make another waypoint somewhere in Africa, I don't know where. And then you can just put it there. By just simply connecting the mission planner to the drone itself, click on connect. It's loading all the parameters and the data onto the mission planner, and it's done. And you can write all the waypoints from Africa. Oh, I clicked error. Read all the waypoints onto the autopilot. And then this was our previous autopilot round. And then by switching the transmitter onto autopilot mode, you can go into autopilot and it flies completely automatically. On the main screen, Bob is going to tell you something on what info it gives.
Yes, what we are seeing here, these two lines and this triangle are in fact the nose of the plane. So this little square tells me how the plane stays instead of the virtual horizon. So during the autonomous flight, the pilots, so Martijn and I, can continuously check if the plane is flying the right path by seeing how it's moving opposite the virtual horizon. Then we have also, here we have some information about the speed. This is the speed opposite of the ground, so the horizontal speed. And here we have the vertical speed, and that means how fast the plane is ascending or descending. Here is the altitude of the plane, and here we see also the vertical speed of it. So that are things that the pilot can check during the flight.
So we actually have flown with it, and we got a video of it as well.
The last step. If this fails, all the work is lost. The boys head to the field and set everything up. This was the big moment. Wrong tape.
Well, this was our actual...
Oh yeah, this one. They did it!
You can see bullet board.
But what can it be used for?
Well, as our lovely American narrator asked us, what can it be used for? Me and Bob have listed some really effective and nice applications for a drone. And the first one is firefighting. As you can see here, we got a picture of a thermal image, an overview of a forest fire. And you can see that the fire is starting over there and it's spreading that way. But with a drone you can quickly take a picture and know where the source is. And it's really important with a forest fire to know where the source is, because it isn't helping to extinguish only the sides, you need to extinguish really the center. So by knowing where this is exactly, you can really effectively control the fire itself and save water ultimately. The second one is agriculture. You can see here a farmer's field. Imagine you're a farmer and you have a huge field with a lot of crops, and you have to check every week. It takes 3 hours to check everything, how healthy your crops are. Well, by zigzagging and by taking photos every few meters with a drone, you can put those photos together and make a view overview. It's even possible that you take a thermal camera on the front of the drone, and you can see how healthy a plant is. Because when a plant is unhealthy, or it needs water, or it needs food, it radiates a different kind of radiation than a healthy plant does. So a farmer can really effectively farm by just seeing which plant needs water or food, and put his water and money there. So it spends time for the farmer, and it's better for the crops and better for his outcome as well.
Okay, we can also use drones for wildlife, and then I mean in the big national parks we can count with a drone the populations of animals. With a drone you can make more accurate countings of the animals because you have a beautiful and widespread view from above. So you don't miss any animals in your counting, and you also don't count the animals 2 or 3 times instead of 1 time. And here we see a picture of an elephant. Unfortunately it is 1. We can also use drones for the air surveillance of the police, and then we use them instead of the big police helicopters. That has some advantages. Of course, a drone makes less noise than a big helicopter, so the criminal don't notice that the drone is zooming and flying above him, so he won't flee in a direction that the police don't expect. And so the drone can give information to the police officers, and so they can arrest the criminal easier and also faster. Yes, next. And then we have also maintenance by different infrastructures, such as railways. And then we can check again with the infrared camera if the heat switching, the switch heatings on a railway are working or not. And so you can send the different maintenance crews faster to the point where some switch heating isn't working, and so there are less delays. And you can also use drones in maintenance for checking the icing in winter on the blades of a windmill, and also to check if there are loose screws. And that is safer than sending 2 guys to the top of the windmill with the danger that it will fall off.
Well, the last application is delivery. Here in this picture you can see a Domino's delivery drone. I know you guys all want it, but unfortunately it was an April Fool's joke from Domino's. But there are actually drones who can transport medical stuff. This is an ambulance drone who can transport defibrillators. Imagine you are in a rural area and you're not close to any city. With a drone you can quickly transport a defibrillator to a person with a heart attack, and we all know the first few minutes are crucial with a heart attack, so we can really save lives. It's also possible to deliver insulin to diabetes patients to quickly revive them and help them with their struggles. So we got a conclusion and bloopers afterwards, but between that we got.
A lot of these applications can help society. It will be a matter of time until they'll be sold on the market, and until they can save the world, in any possible extent, of course. The fact that these two could build a drone says something about the difficulty of building one. No offense, guys. A kid could do the laundry.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it, and see you next time.
I just wanna have some fun.
Okay, so we would like to thank some people. First of all, Bob's father.
And also Martijn's father.
Bob's grandfather as well. Unfortunately he couldn't be here, but I hope you can see the presentation via video.
We also want to thank all the members of the Radio Model Vliegclub in Vlaardingen.
Mr. Gorman over there editing everything, and the American narrator who Gorman fixed via Reddit.
And last but not least, we want to thank Mr. Tijtel.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we have time for a few questions.
Yes, sorry.
Misschien is het het beste om het even in het Nederlands te doen als jullie vragen hebben. Heel kort. Wie wilde wat vragen?